Alright, gang, welcome back to our 100 horsepower challenge on Ostbeck. You joined me in April. Clearly, I've made a lot of money. I've sold a lot of trees. Not all of the trees, but a lot of the trees that were around our new field here, I've sold most of those. Well, I say most. I'd say a little more than half of them. And, yeah, we purchased a loading wagon, or a forage wagon here. Now, this thing is pretty nice. It is a Krone Optimat Alice Slater, I don't know, however you want to say it. But anyway, it holds a good chunk of silage. So this straw. Excuse me. So this is perfect for us because that is the next objective for us, is to get the straw up off the ground, so then we can put something else back in the ground here, right? So that's our goal. Now, bear with me for a second here. I'm going to go out of my first-person view for a second because I have never used this before. And I really haven't tried it, so I'm hoping we're going to be able to use it. And it looks like in the mirror in the right corner there, if you look in the mirror, it looks like it is throwing straw in there. So, and in the bottom corner, I guess, you can also see that it is storing that. So, it is working, which is good. That's what we wanted. So this is our first objective today, is to try to get as much of this straw up off the ground as possible. And then we'll see what else we can get into. I would like to find something to utilize this straw with. I don't know if we're going to, unfortunately, find anything, but I would like to. It's really just going to depend on if we can afford it or not. Well, granted, we have $92,000, so we probably can afford most things, but I could just sell this straw outright. I don't necessarily know if that's what I want to do, though. It is, you don't get a whole lot of money for straw, right? So, but then again, I don't know for sure if we'd get our money's worth for whatever it is that we put down, unless we were to find something that's, you know, really unrealistic and super cheap. I don't know if we would get our money's worth out of that placeable, right? So there's a lot of decisions, I guess, to be made is where I'm at. Now, I don't think, unfortunately, this will be able to hold. Well, I don't think it'll have enough storage for us to get the rest of the straw here up off the ground. I just don't think it's going to be possible, unfortunately. So I guess we're going to have to make that decision pretty quickly here, right? What we're going to do. You can kind of see some of the trees I knocked down. There is a tree up here that I knocked down that I have not brought over yet. It was giving me some issues, so I just left it there for now. I'm going to have to chop it up a few times, I think, just to get it over here to our wood chip maker, but it's not really in the way right now. It's not harming anything, so it can just sit there, and it's not sliding into the water, so we're going to take it. But there were obviously a few trees up here next to it that I have got rid of, as you can tell. A couple here, as you can clearly tell. But there are still, I don't know, another 10 or 15 trees left to go. They're mostly these birch trees, these white and gray looking trees here. But, hey, it still gives us wood chips out of it, so we'll take it. It's better than none. So I'm kind of leaving those there now because it is April. The price has dropped pretty significantly on wood chips now. It's not really worth it anymore. I was kind of pushing it between the last episode and this episode to even sell them because it wasn't really worth it either in March, but it was significantly better than April is. So probably won't be selling any more trees for a little while. Unless we absolutely have to, unless we are desperate, right? So you got to factor that in too. I've got to really be, strategic here because we want to utilize some of this money to buy another plot of land. We really would like to have 3. If we have 3, we're in much better shape. That gives us more trees for wood chips, right? Again, having just said that, we really probably don't want to sell a whole lot of trees. It will be useful later on, though, right? If and when the time comes that we need them to put down more productions or whatever it is we decide to do, right? The biggest problem with the straw is there's not a whole lot you can do with straw, really. There's not. Straw hats and things like that, but that's super expensive. It's like 80 grand, 70, 80 grand for that, and it takes up a ton of space, which is not really ideal. We don't have a whole lot of space to work with, so that's not really going to work. There are some silage type of things you can do with it. One I'm utilizing already in the Broke to Billionaire challenge on Ohio Richlands. So even though I'm not fully against, doing the exact same thing in this series as that one. I'm trying my best to stay away from utilizing the same equipment that I'm using in that, which is pretty easy to do because we're on a 100 horsepower challenge. But the production-wise, it's not as easy to do, especially when you're dealing with something like I said, like straw. There's just not that much on ModHub to do or that you can utilize with straw. So we gotta kind of have to think through this and figure out what the best approach is here. I really need to wash this tractor. Look how dirty it is. Dang. So I guess we'll carry on picking up straw here for now until we make that decision. I kind of did a little basic research out on ModHub, and I'm not able to find anything else. So even though I said we really don't want to sell it, it may end up being a situation where we just have to sell it, right? The only other thing really we could use straw for is cows and pigs, and there's no way we're going to be able to afford that unless we buy the food outright, which is going to be expensive, right? There's no way we're going to be able to make enough to do that. So, yeah, it's kind of a hard point right here with the straw. I didn't really necessarily have to drop it. I guess I could have chopped it. But too late now. So as you can see, we went around the headland once, and it wasn't the perfect headland pass, but we're on our second pass here, and we're already at 63%. So, and there's a lot in the middle, so there's no way we're going to be able to get all of this taken care of, as I mentioned right before this is full. So the options then are to get another one, which I don't really want to do that at all, or we have to sell it or do something with it. Find a silo of some sort to store it in, whatever it may be. We got to do something with it. But how's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're all doing well. Actually, at the time of this recording, I'm leaving tomorrow, actually, to head overseas, to head to Italy, as I've mentioned on other series. Going out of the country for a couple of weeks, so I will be limited. So if I don't get back to you as fast as I normally do, I apologize. That is the reason why. It's not because I'm ignoring you, I assure you. I try to reply to everybody. I love hearing your thoughts and comments. I'm going to have to go around these corners again. I'm not doing the best job here on the corners, but again, as I mentioned early on in this series, I'm doing the best I can here, which I haven't been doing a very good job of it lately, but I'm doing the best I can to try to utilize first-person view a little more. I don't utilize it that often. I want to try to utilize it some more, so you can see the inside of the tractors a little more, you know, see the gears changing, all that cool stuff. See it from a first-person perspective instead of way up in the air from a third person like I typically would do. So I'm trying to get better at it. Yeah, we're moving along nicely here, right? 80%, nearly to a full trailer load here. Once that happens, we'll have to go off camera and see if I can figure out anything at all that we already have downloaded, because I did, like I said, did my research before we started this episode on ModHub, and I was able to not find anything else that we don't already have installed. So it's going to be me searching through, seeing if I can find anything at all that makes sense for us to go ahead and put down, and something that we can relatively afford, right? That's the main thing. We got to be able to afford it. And we have to have the space for it. That's the silo that we utilize that I was talking about in the Broke to Billionaire Ohio Richland series, right? That is huge. That silo is huge. It would look way out of place on this little tiny series. I'm not saying we won't do it, but it will look way out of place if we do it. So our options are very, very limited, to say the least. The other thing we could have done instead of doing what we're doing here with the loading or the forage wagon, right? We've been doing a lot of forage wagon, loading wagon stuff lately on all of the series, but the only other option we could have did was to do bales. Now, bales would have been great, but this tractor, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty positive, this tractor doesn't have the option to put a front loader on it. So we would have had to buy another tractor just to be able to pick up the bales, right? And then you had to buy a trailer to put them on. So from the pure aspect of ease of use, this was a better choice, right? That's pretty cool. Look at that. That's pretty nice, right? Sometimes the camera angles are not exactly what I want, but speaking of that, I think I mentioned it. I don't know if it was the Ohio Original Series or if it was something else. I don't remember. Or it might have been the Pioneer Challenge. I don't recall. But anyway, what I've been utilizing to help assist me with making thumbnails has gone away. Microsoft screwed up their designer program, which is what I was utilizing to help me, which has some AI tools, certainly, obviously. I mean, a lot of you can probably figure that out just by looking at them, but so they've screwed it all up, and I was paying for it, so now I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to figure something out. We might have a row of thumbnails that are crappy for a little while until I figure something else out, I guess. What are you going to do? Anyway, let me see if I can find anything here. Production-wise, I don't know, man. It's going to be difficult. They're all going to be expensive, right? We could do a power plant, I guess, but we utilize that so much that I'm really trying not to. But that might be the only choice we have. Might be the only option we have. Like these compound feed mixers would be nice, but again, we have to have all that other stuff, and I don't have that. We don't even have basic grass, I guess, exception of this stuff here, which isn't really going to be enough to make it worth our while, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we don't even have pellets. Like, we'd have to figure out a way to make straw pellets if we want to use some of this heat stuff, right? I mean, we utilize this so many times. It is so useful, but we utilize it so much that I don't really want to utilize it, if that makes any sense. It's letting me put it inside of things. That is so weird. Like, why would it let me do that? You would think that wouldn't allow me to do that, but it is. Very weird. Anyway. I mean, we have enough money to do it. That's the thing, right? And it does make us money. It makes us a lot of money. But then we have to get a dryer for the Digeste too, right? So then you got 55,000, and the one I'd probably utilize is the one we were using in the Pioneer Challenge, right? So then you got another $50-something thousand. So let me look around, gang. Let me see if I can find anything. If I can't, then we're just going to have to figure out something else. Alright, gang, so unless we utilize the same exact BGA, I just don't think it's worth it. I really don't. I think we're going to, because of the size of the fields and how few we have, it's not worth it. So we're just going to have to sell the straw outright. Or we can store it, I guess, into a silo and then sell it when it's best to sell. I don't know when it's best to sell straw, actually. Before I drive that far away, let me look here. So that's not correct. There are some storage somewhere else that when you start the actual game, and I guess I missed getting rid of them. So ignore some of that stuff that's there in storage. We're not utilizing it. Obviously, you've seen me not use it before. So it's actually not bad right now. 132 is not bad, and 142 is the best price normally. So we'll sell it. It's the standard shop, which is pretty much where we sell everything every single time. So what it would be nice to get, though, is this has 20,000 liters. So maybe, never mind. Maybe ignore what I just said. I was going to say it would be nice maybe to get a silo, though, for it to put it into and then, drop it into our trailer. But this has actually a bigger storage than the trailer does. So this is going to be the best use of our time, I guess. So it's going to be a while. It's going to be a lot of trips back and forth here. It's going to take a bit of time to do this. Now, I don't necessarily know if I want to do a time-lapse of doing the straw and then driving it all the way over here multiple times. It's going to take a while to drive over here, so a lot of that time-lapse would be driving over here. So what I might end up doing is maybe I do a little jump cut here after I've pretty much got rid of most of these. And maybe we're going to close or we're on our last pass of picking up the straw, then maybe we start a time lapse at that point, and I can jump into from that. Depending on how long the time lapse is, I can jump into starting to cultivate up the field as well, right? Because we're going to cultivate it because we don't have a direct drill, so we've got to cultivate the field up, and then we can start working on drilling that field, which we need to do in this episode if at all possible. All right, so it's not expected game-changing amount of money here, gang, but if we get a decent amount, I'll be pretty happy. If we can get a couple thousand out of this, it'd be worth it. This forage wagon, it wasn't the cheapest, but it wasn't that expensive either. It was somewhere around the $18,000-ish, $18,000 range. Yep, 2,652, which is kind of what I was saying, right? I wanted to have about a 2,000. I didn't even realize cars came back here. Well, that's kind of cool. I didn't think anything would come back here. I thought it was just going to be on the basic road. But no, there's definitely Walter White's back there causing us issues. Okay, well, that's the first time I saw that happen. So I will, like I said, do a bunch of trips. I guess I should be in first-person view. I haven't really been in first-person view. I would do a bunch of trips, getting rid of the rest of the straw. Once we're close or are on the last pass here, I'll throw a little time-lapse in, and then we will carry on with that time-lapse into doing the cultivation of the field. All right, well, we're nearly done here with the cultivation, or the harrowing, I guess, really more than anything. But we're nearly done, and then we'll have to jump onto the drill and start getting the drill going. Now, I think the drill is going to have a little bit of an issue with this because of the hills here, right? The drill we have is actually needs a little bit more horsepower than we have. So, excuse me for a second there, gang. So, we may have to figure out some way to go about it, right? Where it might be a situation where we have to drive all the way up to here and then go down the hill. I've had to do that before in other series, I guess, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna take the shot at starting over here by the tree line here, coming up to the end, and then going down the hill over here where it's a little bit more steep. It's a hill nonetheless, but I think the incline over here by the trees is a little bit less than it is down here by the lake or the river or whatever. Not river, the lake or the ocean or whatever this is. I'm assuming it's kind of like a bay, like an ocean of some sort, but it's like a channel or something like that, right? Between Great Britain and Germany somewhere, right? Somewhere around in there. I could be completely wrong by that, but that's my guess. Or France and Great Britain, whatever. Somewhere in that vicinity, right? Now, it's still going to be hard to see where I've been with the drill. This harrow, I guess. I need to get the word right. The harrowing of this, I guess. It works really well. Great width, fantastic. But when you're trying to drill, it's really hard to see sometimes. Now, what are we going to put in here? We got to be a little strategic about that, right? Because a lot of the stuff we're just going to probably sell outright. So we've got soybeans already, which is going to be good. Probably should put canola in here, because we are allowed to skip months in this series. Remember, I made that modification early on because we need to progress, right? And we weren't going to be able to progress if we didn't do that. So, I'm just going to set this here for right now. Just kind of how I said that loading wagon there for right now as well. We're just going to kind of leave it here for right now. We don't have a ton of room right now, unfortunately. We just have this one shed. But it works, right? It works. We might put another kind of an open air cover, or whatever you want to call it, over here on this side, so we can put some of this stuff still under cover. But we'll see. Okay, so we need to fill this thing up. I'm thinking we're going to do canola, gang. And the other problem here is that it is very heavy. Obviously, I have a weight on the front of this, but it's not really doing enough. What I might end up actually doing here... let me buy a bag of seed really quick. But what I might end up doing here, gang, is... I don't remember if this has a 3-point hitch on the front. If it does, we might go a path of trying to get even a heavier weight than what we currently have, which I understand would be a little bit of a loss since we paid the money for the standard weight here that you can put on the front. But I think a heavier weight would help us out even more. Might go slower, but we wouldn't be raising up the front of the tractor, right? As we currently are. I mean, the wheels are still on the ground, but it's only just. And it takes a long time to slow down. So if we customize this, I don't think there is. I think it's just the weights. It is just the weights. Man, that sucks. I was really hoping that wasn't the case, but... I mean, we can't go over 100 horsepower, so this is what it is, right? The only other option we have is to get... If it lets us. It doesn't. I was going to say the only other option we have is to try to go, you know, a path of dually wheels, but that doesn't allow us to do that either. It does have a front loader attachment on it. I swear it didn't. Okay, well, there you go. That's what I was wrong about, though. It's the weight. It doesn't have a 3-point hitch on the front, so that weight's all we can utilize. We can't get any more weight than that. So we'll see how this goes. Now remember, this does not have. There you go. See, I'm spinning the wheels again. Now this does not have the ability to put fertilizer down, so we have to fertilize, and we're going to be utilizing that John Deere sprayer for our fertilization, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's a little more convenient too. So. we'll see how this goes. It could be disastrous, and we might end up having to sell it and go to something else, but I really don't want to. I really want to continue to use this. I've wanted to use it for a long, long time. I've had it installed for a long time. I just haven't been able to find a series that makes the most sense, and this one does. It's just unfortunate that it's slightly, and by it, I mean the tractor is slightly underpowered for it. But we'll see. I mean, we're chugging through here, so it's not too bad down here. But we're getting ready to hit the incline here of the hill, and so this is really going to be the test for it. Wasn't too bad of a time lapse. It was a little long, but it wasn't too bad. Didn't take too long to get it all done, including the last shipment or trip or whatever you want to call it of straw, which there really wasn't much. It probably wasn't even worth me picking all that up and driving it over there. It probably cost more from the damage and gas to do that than I actually got out of it, but oh well. Too late now, right? I don't know if you saw or not, and I was very surprised about it too, but evidently some of this field here was not drilled in the last, well, I say the last. It was not drilled properly, I guess, whoever drilled it before, because it allowed me to kind of expand out the field a little bit. We got a little bit closer to the trees there. It wasn't a huge increase, but it was an increase, so... So that wasn't too bad going up that way. So I think we're going to do 2 headland passes just to try to make sure we solidify this extremely steep area, which is really down here. This is the area that's the problem. When you're trying to come, if you're coming up this way near the water and try to turn and go up this is where the issue arises. So I'm going to go around this kind of slow here. Back up. You might have also saw in that time lapse that I had an issue when I was utilizing even just the harrows to get up this hill. I was trying to go up the hill and I just kept sliding backwards. It took me a while to get it back sorted out. I guess if I zoom out a little more, it's a little bit easier to see where you have been drilled, where you've drilled at and where you haven't, but it's still not the most perfect situation. Now, I don't know how many of these I got done today. Probably not many. I know I didn't get enough of the Ohio Richland series done either. So, there are going to be some days here in the next couple of weeks where you're going to have no episode, and I'm sorry for that. I ran out of time. Simply put, I ran out of time in comparison to work and what was going on with work and life in general, and then trying to get these done a couple weeks in advance. So I simply ran out of time. So there will be probably a handful, honestly, of days where there won't be a video out. So I apologize, but I did the best I could given the circumstances, right? So this is obviously, like I said, the day before we leave. So should be, I don't know, this one's probably a couple days before I get back, I would think. I don't know for sure, though. I could be wrong on that. Guess it just depends. And I don't know when this is coming out, so it might be a bit of a spoiler. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I did finish the Pioneer Challenge. So really, when I get back, the only 2 series we're going to have running is this one, which this one actually isn't that far off from being complete either, and the Ohio Richland series, which we know we've already failed that one. So we're trying to kind of modify, what we're trying to aim for. Now this one, even if we do accomplish the goal before I'm able to start doing stuff on FS25, because as you know, I'm going to be out of town again unfortunately for work. I'm probably going to run this series even if we do eclipse the total there of what we need, the goal, right, the 250,000, which we're not that far off of. Now granted, a lot of that money was from trees, so we said our goal here was to try to do the best we can to not make that goal based off of trees alone. So we still have a ways to go, is what I'm trying to get at. We're going to have to harvest a few before we actually get there. So But we're going to have a lot more of this series being posted, and the Ohio Richland series, obviously, once I return from my out of the country trip here. Because this is going to be the only 2 series we actually have running. I'm not going to start another series with FS25 so close. There's no reason to. So it will definitely help out the Broke to Billionaire Challenge series. It'll give us some more time to try to get some more stuff done, certainly, but yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is even if we can accomplish this one, I'm going to continue to run this one, so that way it's not just one series the entire week, every day. That's we can break it up a little bit, right? We can add a little bit extra to it with this series. You know, just sprinkle one of these in every once in a while. I think it makes sense, right? Keeps it fresh. Bit of a change. All that good stuff, right? Now, I know I'm kind of overlaying this a little bit into the other one, but it is still kind of hard to see, so I'm just making sure that we're actually getting everything, and we're not missing anything, right? I really love this drill, though. I really do. I really, really like it. I wish they made a bigger one of this drill. I just think it's a really cool looking drill. Those pipes and everything that it's drilling the seed into the ground. I don't know, I just really like it. So anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I don't really like doing time lapses back to back, but there's really nothing else for it. It's either just do a jump cut or I do another time lapse, and I figure I did a lot of jump cutting of the straw, so let's just do another time lapse and get the field done here, drilled up and ready to go, and then we just got to spray it. May not be the entire drilling. I may not do the entire field in a time lapse, maybe just a good chunk of it, and then we kind of do a jump cut to the end of it. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how long it takes, where we get to, and let's get at it. All right, we're almost done here, gang. We're on the herbiciding now. The fertilization has been complete. The drilling's complete. All of that's done. Just got to get the herbicide done. And then we'll need a second application of fertilizer, obviously, in the next month. But I'm not sure if we're going to do that on camera or not. I may just do that off camera. We may jump until something's ready to harvest, unless we decide to buy another field between now and the next episode, which we might. And if we do, then obviously we'll do the fertilizing then. But I got to take a look at it, see what's out there as far as our money goes, and see if anything makes sense for us. And maybe we buy one. But if they're not ready to harvest, then it really kind of still goes against the point of, you know, doing another episode before something's ready to harvest, I guess, right? We could buy it, I guess, and then, you know, do an episode whenever that's ready to harvest. Or, well, we'll see, though, right? We'll see. It could either be that, or it could be a situation where we jump quite a few months until something is ready to harvest on our side, one way or another. But we'll carry on. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. It's the easiest and the best way to help me out, and it's completely free. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or ideas, you know the drill. Let me know down below. I'm happy to get back to you on those. Although, albeit, I don't know when this one's actually releasing or not. It may be delayed in comparison to normal. Like I mentioned early on in the episode, I will be out of the country without any access to a phone or internet unless I find Wi-Fi somewhere. So it may be limited is what I'm trying to say, and it may take me a while to get back to you. But I will get back to you one way or another, I do promise. But yeah, with that, we'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all in the next one.